Good afternoon. Welcome back to the B&H virtual event space. Today, as you've seen, we have a change in the mic landscape. And for that, I'd like to welcome Laura and Russ from Shure. Huge thank you to Shure for hosting today's event. I'm going to give you guys a hint out there. What I am speaking into right now is not what we're talking about today. So Russ, Laura, welcome. Which one of you wants to drop the exciting news?
Thank you. I could drop the news. So we are extremely proud and extremely excited to announce the SM7DB active dynamic microphone, which you are hearing right now. Before we get into the details of it, I'm sure everybody is familiar with this guy, the SM7B, which came out in 1973 for TV and broadcast studios and was pretty popular, and then kind of exploded when the whole podcasting boom happened in about 2014, and we just celebrated its 50th anniversary, and we are excited to announce an upgrade to it. So we've got the SM7DB, which designed for podcasters and streamers, vocalists, musicians. And it is essentially the SM7B with an active preamp in it, which has plus 18 or plus 28 dB of gain to it. So what that means is you no longer need to use any type of external preamp or gain boost or anything like that with it. It can plug directly into your audio interface or your mixer without anything else added, and you are good to go. Laura, do you have anything that you need to add to that, or
no?
like
That's it. I mean, it's
Wonderful
super
intro.
exciting.
That's
you know, like that's, and we'll see you later. Thanks, everybody. No,
That's
you.
been a
We're
wonderful
done.
audience.
no, it's
Thanks
it's
to you
just
guys.
really exciting to be able to do this because a lot of people have wanted a solution for this. And so the SM7B is not going anywhere. The SM7DB is in addition to the SM7B, not in place of. But we've added a couple other things too, like tactile switches to the back of the microphone itself. So on the SM7B, it looks like this guy, where you'd have to kind of bust out a screwdriver to adjust the frequency response. But now I can do it right on the back of the mic. There's actual switches where I can just reach back and adjust the frequency response. So that's the only thing I would add for right now.
And that's a big thing. We were kind of joking about that before we went live today. Is that I'm obviously using the OG, the SM7B, but if I did want to make some on the fly adjustments, there is a little bit I got to do. You know, I can't just I don't have long nails. So, and if I did, I don't even know if that would suffice. But
no, I kind of do, and I can't.
Still.
But that's by design because we didn't want people to be able to adjust these things on the back of the SM7B too much, because for studio use, which is what this was designed for, you'd want to kind of set it and forget it. You know, if you had the same DJ using the mic day after day, you could do that. And it actually comes with a back plate that you can put on here and lock it out so nobody can mess with it. The SM7DB does not come with that back plate because you can adjust the switches much more easily, but they're not going to adjust on their own. They are hardy clicks to get them to engage. And so, you know, that's why it's there.
It is a hearty click, and and you know,
Let's
like I said, we've got the same filters on the back, and just have the added preamp. And the awesome thing is, if you have an external preamp already, or you just need to bypass that preamp, it is quite literally an SM7B. It sounds exactly like it. It's not going to change the tone or any of the sonic characteristics or anything like that. When you're in bypass mode, it sounds dead on exactly like the SM7B.
Why don't I demonstrate that real quick?
Yes, we always love a good demo.
It's like I can almost do that right now. So just real quick, my audio setup that I have going is the SM7DB into our MV-X2U, which is this inline pre. It's a single channel digital audio interface that we launched about a month ago. And that's going directly into my MacBook Pro. That's my whole setup, and I'm monitoring in real time with some headphones or earphones, as it turns out, SU215s for those of you playing along at home. But anyway, I am using the built-in preamp on the SM7DB, but I can disable it and put it into bypass mode, which is true bypass. So it will not be touching that circuitry at all. and it is exactly the same as an SM7B. So let's hear what that sounds like. So I'm going to disengage my preamp. And now I just added the makeup gain in my MVX2U because it can actually power an SM7B. So if you already have an SM7B and you're looking for a great solution, check out the MVX2U. So this is now in bypass mode. So true bypass, you are hearing an SM7B. And if I switch it back on, hear that little pop as phantom power re-engages, because you will need phantom power to take advantage of the built-in pre. That's all it needs. It sounds exactly the same. So same capsule, same circuitry. It's just about a centimeter longer. And the SM7DB is black with a muted Shure logo as opposed to the charcoal gray of the SM7B.
Here, we can see up here, I can put this in. Hopefully it'll focus in.
There you go. I don't know because you're backlit, so we might not be able to see it. Just take his word on it.
Take my word for it.
Just trust. Russ would not lie about these things.
It's nice.
Yes.
I'm not lying.
He's not lying.
Laura, you brought up a great point in that, when we were talking about the switches on the back is, when this mic was developed and when this mic, for all these decades that this mic was known as the standard, it wasn't in everybody's living room. It wasn't, the podcasting wasn't really a thing, and it wasn't as popular as it is now. And I think that this change probably, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it has a lot to do with the change of the landscape, where it's not just in professional studios. You have everyday people like me sitting in my living room, wants to have the same professional sound quality that all the people that I'm listening to on the radio have. So you didn't really need it, but now it's something that the industry is kind of called for, where it makes it a worthy addition.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's really awesome because now, anybody that is, that does a podcast or broadcast or anything like that, that may not have, a high-end interface with a super powerful preamp, or a high-end external preamp, this does the job for you. You've got 18 or 28 dB of clean gain, and clean gain is especially important here because with any preamp, really, once you start driving it, and you kind of start turning it up to, as high as it can go, you can get some coloration in the sound, sometimes some hissing, some distortion. So it's not always consistent. So really what we aim for in this is to have a preamp designed specifically for this microphone. So no matter what setting you have it to or what it's plugged into, you're going to get a consistent sound out of it.
Yeah, I think clean gain is, gain doesn't really matter unless you're going to get clean gain. It's not it's not like photography where you're like, let me get a little noise, a little grain in that image, and it gives it some character. There's not much character to be had in audio when you're adding that background, that gaining noise.
No, that's not good.
Yeah. Now, Laura, you had mentioned that the SM7B isn't going anywhere. Is there a reason for that? Is there something that, people might be asking, well, okay, is there a benefit to one over the other, or is there a certain audience that is going to choose one over the other? Obviously, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the podcast audience, the person who just wants to have a setup like you, where it's like, hey, I got some monitors, I have a mic, I have a MacBook, I'm going to plug it in, and I'm going to go, is going to want the SM7DB. Is the studio, the person who's recording, the recording artist, the studio, are they going to want to change the SM7DB, or is there some benefit to the classic OG?
I mean, honestly, it's the same microphone. So, but you'll have people who want what they want. They want the original. They want the classic, the OG. So, you have that opportunity available. And the SM7DB is not made to discredit or disparage the SM7B at all. The DB just adds that additional preamp. So if you are wanting to streamline your setup, if you're not ready to get into an interface that has enough gain, or if you're not in a professional studio, it's another option for you. So I wouldn't say that there's a particular use case for it. It's just, or a benefit to using it as opposed to the SM7B. It's really, now we have choice, right? And we've made it even easier.
Yeah, and I think the DB just gives you a little bit more versatility as well, because depending on if you're in a professional studio, there's tons of different preamps that you could plug into. Maybe you don't want that coloration, so you can use the preamp that's built into the microphone. But again, for most people that are doing podcasting at home, a lot of the entry to mid-level interfaces just don't have enough gain in the preamp. And it's not to speak badly about them. It just, in most cases, it's not needed. But the DB is basically going to alleviate that problem. So
Mhm.
if you've got high-end preamps, you can use the DB or you can use the B. But again, for the vast majority of podcasters, I think that the DB would probably be the choice for them.
It's like the old adage, better to have and not need than need and not have. It's always better
Yeah.
to have options, like Laura said. And I will throw out something that a lot of people may not think of, but I've been there, I've done that, I've experienced it. Have my, I had my SM7B going into a preamp. So now what do? You add another piece of equipment, you add another XLR cable, and then I had it going into an audio interface.
Mm-hmm.
So now I have, when I'm not getting my sound, I have to problem solve. I have to say, well, what is it? And it ended up being the last thing I possibly thought it would be, because the first thing we go to is the hardware. We don't
Right.
look at the accessories, and we certainly not a cable that we meticulously roll when we're not using it. And it's like, come on, cables last forever, right? It was a bad,
Yes.
it was a bad XLR cable. And
Yeah.
it was something that it may not be something, but this is a case where the more equipment I have on my desk, it clutters my setup. It's more room for, why would I have, it's like going point A to point B versus going point A to point B from point B to point C to point D, and then finally in. So it's just room for error.
Right.
Yeah, it could be another, potential failure point with, XLR cables. And just to point out, what you see here on my screen here, this is literally my podcast setup. I've got my SM7 DB right here plugged into my MVX2U, which again, XLR right on it, so I'm not even using any XLR cables, and I have one USB cable coming off of the top going right into my MacBook Pro, which is just off screen. That could be your entire setup. One cable, a microphone, and an interface, and that's it. I can't think of an easier solution than that.
Yeah. And we did have a question come in from online asking about the plus 18 and plus 28 dB gain. Is that arbitrary? Is there a reason for 18 and 28?
It's not arbitrary. It is to make up for the gain that it actually naturally needs, the SM7B. So normally it would be what, I think 30
was
dB.
minus-
So ours, it's based off the sensitivity of the mic. So it's negative 59 dB without the preamp engaged, and then I don't want to misspeak.
Yeah,
I have it right in front
it's
of me.
minus 59. I have it here. Math is
Yep.
hard.
So there's
Minus
some
41
science
and
behind
minus
it.
31. When you have the plus 28, it's the
Right.
minus 31. So yeah, you're compensating, and it's specifically for this microphone. So that's a great question.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about that. Obviously, there's a lot of engineers out there that at Shure that are way more intelligent than me, and they got these things figured out. And there's, hey, I work a little slider on my audio interface, but yeah, I never actually really thought about what is the actual level, or is
Yep.
it something that's different depending on the application, for the gain. So it's interesting to get the science behind that. Now, we talked about the adjustments on the back of the mic. I never really played with mine. Is it
Yeah.
something, how many people, for me, look, I have people tell me all the time, oh, your voice sounds great. I give it to the praise goes to the mic, not to me. I don't sound like this in person. For anybody who's ever met me on a show floor,
That's
or out
not
on the
true.
street,
We just
it's
met
not
you
true.
last month, and that is not true.
I wish I could carry this around with me. I gotta get my MV88 and just talk
right.
through it constantly.
Welcome.
But
This is what I sound like all the
this
time.
is what I talk like
Yeah,
in real life. But
exactly. No, it
I-
makes a difference though. Those switches make a difference. I'm in flat mode right now, but if I
Okay.
go into presence boost, it's, I think, a fairly big difference for me. It gives
Yeah.
it that little bit of sparkle in the top end.
brighter.
So if you're listening in headphones, you can hear it. And if I do my bass roll off, it'll be even brighter and more pronounced. So I just engaged both of those. So low cut and presence boost are now engaged. But if I switch it back, now this is flat mode, and you can totally hear the difference. I
Yeah.
tend to keep it in flat mode just because that's where I like it. But presence boost. Why not? Let's do that for the rest of the live stream. Let's
Yeah.
compare and contrast.
I
But
tend
yeah,
And
I tend to
peppier.
do the same thing and keep it flat, but here, if this is so this is flat and this is the presence boost right here. So yeah, I think some of that low end may have disappeared there, and you get a little bit more in the mid high frequencies there. And then this is back to flat. So that bottom end probably came back.
And
yeah,
that's going to be heavily dependent on someone's voice, correct?
Oh,
right.
absolutely.
Right. That's why it's
Absolutely.
there because you have
Mhm.
speakers who have very different timbres and character to their voice. And so that's what's so cool about SM7B and SM7DB is that you can customize it without having to do anything in pre or post. You just are physically adjusting the frequency response of the microphone itself so that what's going in is sounding great already. But again, if you don't want it to do that, you just put it in flat mode and then you'll have the opportunity in post to do all the EQing that you like.
Wonderful. I mean, I always wonder when I listen to myself, I'm like, would I benefit? I'm gonna have to play around with it one day. Danny, we're gonna have to log on and have some fun here. And it's different when you have the you monitor your own sound versus someone hearing it externally. And
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
that's
That's
what I have
true.
you that's what I have you guys here for. That's why we
Right.
bring the experts on here because
You're
I
welcome.
can't do this. But even in hearing you guys is the difference in all three of us really have three different voices. And
Right.
hearing how the mic handles all three of our voices, it's not enough to see your favorite podcaster using it. Everyone recognizes the look of it, but it really is
Right.
about the sound that you get out of it. And I think it's a super versatile, if I can use that word, super versatile mic where it handles. There are certain mics that handle certain voices better. And that's why when we have top industry people from the music industry on here, it's okay, you have an artist and the sound engineer is going to present an option, a bevy of microphones to an
Mm-hmm.
artist, and you really have to go. And I feel like this is such a versatile mic.
Yeah.
It really
Super.
is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a super versatile mic. Really, any type of voice is going to sound great on this. And then with the DB, with the added preamp now, it's made even more versatile because it can be plugged into a larger variety of interfaces and preamps.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were buying a mic today and I didn't have this SM7DB with the additional MV2U, is that a go right
MVX2U.
there?
Yeah.
The MVX2U?
That's all you need. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is again that is it. That is what I'm using here. I've got the uh, I've got the DB with the MVX2U and literally USB cable. And shout out to our nice broadcast arms that we've got now.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you about
Yeah.
that. I know we came here to talk about this wonderful new updated mic, but
Yeah.
it's a beautiful
Yeah.
mic arm there. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Russ? Because I'm
These are
interested.
these are a Shure branded boom arm that we made in partnership with Gator, and they are super robust and they handle the microphones really, really well. Especially, not that the SM7DB is super heavy, but in the
It's
grand scheme of
hefty.
microphones, it's
Yeah.
got some weight to it.
Yeah.
So it handles it super well, and it's very, very sturdy. And I've had this for a couple of weeks now, and it's been a game changer for me. Super adjustable, and just push it out of the way when I don't need it, and it's very, very smooth. I love this thing.
Yeah, for me, it's got to be durable, but it's also got to be smooth. Not that I feel like I shift around a lot. And again, it all comes down to everybody's style. I'm one of those people. It's like I might be sitting here recording a podcast, and it's like, okay, I'm over here and I'm over in my chair, and it's like whenever my co-host is speaking, I'm shifting, I'm repositioning, I'm doing this, and you don't want that. And it's like I feel like sometimes I would like a little bit more fluidity. So
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that I really like about this stand is no matter how much you move it, I'm not getting really any handling noise or anything like that. No squeaks or anything.
I'm not hearing
It's
it.
it's just very, very quiet, and yeah, it's just very, very smooth. It's really a pleasure to use this thing.
Awesome. I had to ask. I saw it at our recent build expo. You guys had the MVX2U out on display, and we had the beautiful 50th anniversary
Oh, so nice.
custom mics. I know
So pretty.
they
Yeah.
were.
There's only
So
50 of those available. I don't know if they sold out yet.
I don't know. I tried to
50th
get a a Shure representative. I tried to twist some arms on the side. I'm like, I
Nope.
need one.
There
I
were
need one.
no arms being twisted
There was
on that
no
one.
arms being twisted. I know. I'm like,
No.
I like this though.
I know. I mean, the classic is great, but that
It's a
is something to
classic
think
for a
about
reason.
too. If you get your SM7DB or SM7B for sure. I don't know that they do this yet, but
Mhm.
from B&H Photo, you can get it customized at colorware.com. So buy it from B&H and send it their way and get your own custom mic.
Awesome. Well, look, I think we did we check off all the boxes? Did we cover everything? It's a nice, simple, classic update. And I think it's
It
one
is.
that can't be understated at all, because sometimes I think what makes this mic so great is its simplicity. It works great. And it's a design that has withstood the test of time. And there's a small update that could be made to make it more with the times we're in now with the podcast generation. And you guys did it. And you did it well.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to sum it
State
up,
the
it's
praise.
just basically SM7DB is an SM7B with a built-in preamp that's going to allow you to not have any additional hardware or peripherals to get your SM7 classic SM7B sound. So plug in, get your settings where they need to be, and then if you should decide to bypass it, you can do it right on the back of the mic and have that classic SM7B right at your fingertips, and you can control your frequency responses as well, because now it has onboard switches.
That's right. And compatible with pretty much any mixer or audio interface as long as it provides phantom power, which most of them do. So it should be good there.
Yes. Well, look, the same great sound that we know, streamlined experience, gain without the noise. What more could you want? It sounds wonderful. I'm gonna have to eventually replace one of mine, but we'll work on that in the meantime. But look, we did a wonderful review on it. If you guys haven't checked it out yet on our B&H YouTube channel, definitely go check that out. Huge shout out to Andrew, who I think did a wonderful job on that, and he has a great speaking voice. So
He did a
Andrew,
great job. He
Mike
really
or
did.
not, he knows his stuff. He's a super cool guy. Did a wonderful job on that video. So definitely go check that out. We'll see if we can get that link dropped in the comment section for you guys who want to check that out. And I think he did a little bit of a comparison as well between the SM7B and the SM7DB. So you heard Laura do it here. You can hear Andrew do it over on YouTube. Same great results. But I want to thank Laura, Russ, the entire Shure team for this exciting release. And that's all we got for you, everybody. This is a simple, quick day today, but I want to thank the team for joining us and announcing this wonderful new product. But that's all we got. Another round of the B&H virtual event space in the books. We'll catch y'all next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone.